Imagine you have a star hen in your flock, an exceptional layer. You might assume the dominant rooster that just caught her is the undisputed father of her future chicks, but the reality will leave you completely stunned. That unassuming hen possesses the astonishing ability to store semen in hidden compartments deep inside her reproductive tract, keeping it alive and viable for weeks. She can even choose which genetics to use to fertilize the yolk based on the physical quality of the male. Yes, she holds the final control over the nest. Avian reproduction isn't a simple crossing in the yard. It's a masterpiece of biological engineering, a relentless survival clock adapted to ensure the resilience of the flock. If you take breeding seriously, whether to maximize your hatch rates, improve your backyard genetics, or just because you have a passion for these birds, you need to understand the hidden gears of this process. Knowing these details separates an average keeper from a true master of the barnyard. Let's begin. Number 1. The dominant leap and the neck hold, the mating ritual. When you watch a flock sire approach a female, the process kicks off with a tense dance where he drops his wing and drags it across the dirt. What follows immediately after is a physical demonstration of pure athletic strength. The male climbs onto the hen's back and firmly grips the feathers on the back of her neck with his beak. Many novice farmers get deeply concerned when they see their best hens missing feathers on the back of their necks, assuming there's a severe aggression problem. The reality is quite the opposite. This rough handling is a sign of an active breeding flock. However, that firm hold is completely necessary. The rooster lacks an internal anatomy that allows for standard penetration. Everything in this rapid exchange depends on both cloacas touching for a mere fraction of a second. If the male fails to anchor himself using the female's neck as a pivot point, he slips helplessly off her side. A foundation rooster that has grown too heavy for his legs, or a slippery mud surface in the run after a hard rain, translates directly to failed mounts and unfertilized nests. The entire future of your homestead comes down to this fleeting act of physical dexterity. Number 2. The sunrise testosterone meter, the rooster's crow. Most folks associate the deafening morning crow of the male with a simple country alarm clock signaling the dawn. Out in the dirt run, that constant booming sound is actually a public announcement of his reproductive capacity and raw vigor. The power, volume, and frequency of the crow are governed directly by the testosterone levels at that exact moment. The females in the flock possess a highly tuned ear and pay close attention to this vocal display. They actively use this sound to judge the internal health of the male before ever accepting his advances. A rooster that crows with intense, unwavering vigor tells the whole barnyard he's the prime candidate to perpetuate the flock's legacy. Conversely, if you walk through your setup and notice your main flock sire is unusually quiet, you have a serious problem brewing. Heat stress from summer temperatures soaring above 95 degrees Fahrenheit, poor nutrition lacking in dense proteins, or heavy external parasite loads will shut down his urge to sing. Along with his voice, your hatch percentages will take an immediate nosedive. Number 3. Nest control and male discarding, sperm rejection. Anyone watching a bustling barnyard might assume the largest and most dominant male always gets his way, spreading his genetics through sheer force. The body of the hen, however, hides an astonishing selection mechanism that levels the playing field. She actually retains the final say on who gets the privilege of being the father to her chicks. If the rooster takes her by surprise without the proper courtship dance, if she deems him too clumsy during the mount, or if her instincts reject his standing in the flock hierarchy, she takes physical action. Right after mating finishes and the rooster steps away, the hen violently contracts her internal muscles and physically expels the genetic material of the male onto the ground. She discards the entire effort of the rooster with a single, vigorous shake of her tail feathers. This is a ruthless quality filter of nature working right in front of your eyes. It does no good to keep the most imposing animal if the hens live in constant stress around him. They'll take care of nullifying his jumps by emptying his contributions before those cells ever reach the oviduct. Number 4. The biological trap for breeders, internal storage. This connects right back to the shocking fact from the introduction, and it's exactly where most homesteaders lose massive amounts of time and money when trying to improve their heritage lines. When the hen accepts the male and decides his genetics are truly valuable, she sends the strongest reproductive cells into tiny folds known as sperm storage tubules located deep inside her body. She functions as a living storage bank, nourishing and safeguarding those cells in perfect conditions at a core body temperature of around 106 degrees Fahrenheit for up to a full month. Every single day, as a new yolk travels down the reproductive tract to form an egg, she releases a microscopic amount from this vault. Here lies the ultimate field trap for the ambitious breeder. If you decide to change your breed and swap out the old rooster for a premium new one, the eggs you collect next week will still belong to the old bird. To guarantee the new chicks carry exclusively the fresh blood you just introduced, you must wait at least 3 to 4 weeks for the hen to completely exhaust her previous internal reserve. Number 5. The fresh paint in the final stretch, eggshell color. Gathering baskets full of vibrant colored eggs, ranging from soft olive greens to deep chocolate browns, remains one of the greatest visual joys of rural life. What makes this harvest fascinating is that during almost the entire journey of formation inside the mother, that hard calcium surface stays completely white. The dark colors aren't integrated into the deep structure of the shell from the start of the process. The real paint job happens in the final few hours before the bird visits the nesting box. When the egg sits parked in the uterus gland, the body of the hen secretes natural organic pigments that coat the surface like a wet, thick film. In dark-feathered hens that lay deep chocolate tones, if you manage to catch the egg the very second it touches the straw in the nest, you can still stain your fingers and smear that pigment with a bit of moisture. It's a genuine last-minute camouflage effort that nature designed to hide the clutches out in the brush from the sharp eyes of aerial predators. Understanding this process makes you appreciate the biological effort required just to put a single egg on your table. Number 6. The hidden chatter before birth. Synchronized chicks. Imagine loading up your cabinet incubator with 50 premium eggs gathered over several different days out in the yard. Basic logic dictates the hatchings would be a scattered mess spread out over an entire week. Instead, almost all of them manage to break their tough shells in a very tight window of just a few hours. This miracle happens thanks to an impressive, hidden communication network. With about 3 days left before the decisive moment, the chicks begin to breathe inside their internal air cell and start making noise. They produce small, rhythmic, audible clicks to each other right through the dense calcium walls of their eggs. The most advanced embryos set a steady, driving rhythm with these sounds, which directly stimulates the nervous systems of the slower chicks to speed up their hearts and physical development. They encourage one another to synchronize their exit as a united front. Out in the wild, a chick that hatches late quickly becomes easy prey. Grasping this brilliant survival tactic teaches you exactly why you should never interrupt that vital acoustic chatter. Simply put, don't open the incubator doors during lockdown. Number 7. The radical identity shift. The broody trance. One day you have a docile layer wandering the yard, and the next sunrise you face a cornered beast in the nesting box. This is the overwhelming fever of broodiness taking over her biological engine. Her peaceful temperament mutates into defensive aggression to guard the clutch, delivering sharp pecks to intruders. Her core temperature rises to transfer heat to the shells, defying cold snaps. She plucks feathers from her abdomen to create a bare incubation patch. Without isolated pens, the flock will trample her efforts. Managing this powerhouse requires separating her into a draft-free enclosure where she can focus entirely on her maternal duty. During the 3 grueling weeks of incubation, this mother almost forgets the feeder exists. You must bring heavy bowls of cracked corn and fresh water right to her straw bed to stop her from digesting her own pectoral muscle. Field data confirms a broody hen routinely loses up to 20% of her body weight before hatch. The sanitary risk in this isolated state is the rapid colonization of red mites in that hot box. Without thick wood ash dusted under the nesting material, these nighttime invaders will drain her blood, leaving her lifeless before the hatch finishes. Keeping a close watch on her physical condition is vital. Number 8. The banquet deception. The food dance. Watching a flock sire in action reveals a brilliant display of rural cunning. When he uncovers a fat grub in the dirt, he rarely swallows it himself. He picks it up, drops it repeatedly, and clucks at a rapid pace while dragging his wing across the soil. This physical theater proves to the females that he's an exceptional provider and a vigilant bodyguard. The hen rushes over to claim the prize, and in that split second of distraction he grips her neck to secure the mount. It's a masterful strategy requiring a wide dirt run devoid of obstacles, giving the male room to show off his foraging skills. Constantly surrendering ground proteins to his mates takes an immense physical toll. The male often looks leaner than the hens, consuming barely a quarter pound of feed daily while burning his reserves on endless courtship. You must hang elevated feeders exclusive to him, packed with black oil sunflower seeds, guaranteeing the heavy fuel needed for his daily work. Check the base of his abdominal feathers every month. A silent infestation of biting lice will irritate his skin beyond limits, killing his drive to dance. A parasite-ridden rooster is a failed sire, dropping hatchability from 90% down to less than 50%. Number 9. The heavy toll on favorites. Selective pairing. In any well-structured flock, the rooster never divides his attention evenly. He claims a specific pair of hens as his undisputed favorites. These chosen females bear the physical brunt of his relentless reproductive drive. Being mounted with high frequency, they end up with bare backs and deep scratches caused by the male's spurs. If you don't intervene quickly by strapping thick canvas hen saddles over their backs, these exhausted birds will stop visiting the laying boxes out of sheer fear. Furthermore, their bare skin shatters their cold weather resistance, leaving them shivering and vulnerable in the freezing winter chill. To help these favorites rebuild their damaged plumage, standard cracked corn won't cut it. You need to provide rustic rations containing at least 18% crude protein using black soldier fly larvae, delivering the vital blocks to forge strong keratin. Without this dense fuel, their metabolism struggles to stay warm, dropping production output to less than a 2-ounce egg per day, while their body borrows nutrients from their bones. Any open flesh wounds on their backs will spark a bloody wave of cannibalism within the group. The other birds will peck the exposed meat until the animal is lost, making the immediate application of a healing salve a non-negotiable field chore. Number 10. The homestead trap, the bloodline crash. When you raise your first outstanding generation of birds, the temptation to cross those exact sibling chicks to multiply your flock is incredibly strong. However, that's the most destructive structural mistake you can make in this trade. Crossing the exact same genetics drags every hidden flaw of the family tree into the daylight with fierce aggression, destroying the natural resilience of the animal. Your chicks will hatch with crossed beaks, deformed legs incapable of supporting their frame, and a terrible lethargy. To maintain the rugged strength of your flock, it's mandatory to bring in outside roosters from distant farms to ensure genetic diversity. If you ignore this biological law of the dirt, the cold numbers will hit your wallet hard. Your successful hatch rate will nosedive from a solid 90% down to barely half, filling your incubator trays with dead embryos. No expensive water supplements or feeds will fix a weakness embedded deep inside the animal's DNA. The immune system of these inbred relatives acts like fragile glass. A simple winter cold snap breaks them entirely. What serves as a passing sneeze for a rugged crossbreed translates into a devastating respiratory infection for them, wiping out the entire group before you can even apply antibiotic treatments. Number 11. The giant trophy illusion, the double-yolk. Pulling an oversized egg from the straw always swells a farmer's chest with pride. It looks like the heavyweight champion of the coop, the perfect robust candidate to slide into the incubator to hatch a powerful bird. The harsh reality of the barnyard proves this giant shell is a dangerous biological short-circuit, usually triggered by sudden shifts in daylight hours or extreme temperature swings. The ovary of a young pullet simply fired too fast, releasing 2 yolks simultaneously and packing them both into a single internal tube. While they make a fantastic breakfast, placing them in your hatching trays wastes precious machine space. Once you place this double-yolked egg under the heat, both embryos start developing in cramped quarters, fighting a losing battle from day 1 for the tiny amount of oxygen seeping through the pores. Around day 18, the shrinking internal space collapses entirely, and you lose both chicks to inevitable suffocation. Manufacturing these massive 3-ounce shells requires an immense drain of minerals from the young mother, pulling calcium directly from her skeletal frame. Offer coarse oyster shell free choice in the yard feeders. Otherwise, the bone-leaching effort required to seal that calcium dome leaves her with severe weakness, causing irreversible lameness before she finishes her first year. Number 12. The veteran's false stamina, the reproductive cliff. Watching your senior rooster patrol the damp soil with his chest puffed out tricks you into believing he remains the king of the yard. He still belts out his warning crow, stands tall against biting winds, and fights off intruders at the fence line with aggression. But despite this outward show of dominance, his cellular machinery crossed its expiration date months ago. Past his 2 peak years of heavy service in the breeding pens, his capacity to pass on life drops off a steep cliff, even though he fakes the perfect mount. If you fail to keep a firm record book and refuse to rotate your leaders, you end up housing a territorial watchman that produces 0 genetic results. The harsh wake-up call hits you when you shine a candling light under the shells and stare at trays full of clear, empty eggs. The issue isn't your incubator's thermostat. The actual fertility of that veteran male just plummeted below a 30% effectiveness rate. Moving him out of the breeding pen to a retirement pasture is the only way to guarantee a profitable use of feed. Keeping worn-out males also invites chronic parasite issues, as their fading immune defenses turn them into silent carriers of intestinal worms that contaminate the clean soil. Understanding the hidden gears of avian reproduction changes the rules of the game in your breeding pens. You're no longer an average keeper throwing handfuls of grain on the ground, hoping for good luck with the weather. You now dominate the deep biological rhythms, dodging the traps of inbreeding and understanding the true purpose behind every complex dance in the dirt run. From protecting the physical health of your top layers with canvas saddles to replacing an inefficient veteran rooster, these hands-on management practices directly determine whether your homestead prospers or fails. Let me know down in the comments which of these options makes the most sense for your setup. If you got some value out of this breakdown, hit that subscribe button and give the video a thumbs up so we can keep bringing you practical poultry advice. To your success, fellow breeder. Until next time.